Robert Largan.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Thank you for squeezing me in at the end. I want to talk about a few different issues. First of all, something which a lot of other members have touched upon, which is reduced rail timetables as a result of COVID. That's still something which is very significantly affecting commuters across much of the High Peak, particularly in places like Glossop, New Mills, Buxton and Whaley Bridge, where we're seeing significant reductions in timetable, which Northern have said is still due to COVID staff shortages. The latest timetable they've announced reduction will still continue all the way till at least December, which is very disappointing. It's particularly difficult, especially in Glossop and Hadfield, Didting, that area where there's also major roadworks going on for 20 weeks in the main road out of the town. So those two things happening at once is causing a lot of problems locally. So there's a real need to get the full timetable back. Over 2,000 local commuters have signed my petition so far, calling for Northern to restore that. So I hope that we can get that back as soon as possible. The second thing I want to talk about is obviously the transport bill which is coming forward and the Great British Rail reforms, which I very much welcome to try and sort out the fragmented franchising issues there and get a better passenger experience across the country, something I wholeheartedly welcome. And on a similar vein, I also welcome that Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, is finally, after 5 years after being given the powers by the government to do bus franchising, is starting to pursue that as well. I think that's a very positive move and I support him in that. And given that Derbyshire County Council have just been given a significant sum of money by the government to do bus improvement on our side of the border, it's really important for those cross-bus routes between Greater Manchester and Derbyshire that we get that right and that we work together properly so we can see improvements, particularly restoring the 236 bus and the X57 buses which have been lost, and trying to get a direct bus service through to Tameside Hospital from Glossop, which is much needed. Next, I want to talk about what I think is really the heart of transport, which is the desperate need to get transport right to fix the productivity gap which we have in our economy. The government rightly spends an awful lot of money, and a lot of time and focus has been put on skills and putting a huge amount of effort into that, and that's spot on. But much in the same way that record sums of funding into the NHS will never be enough until we fix the social care system, huge sums of money into skills will never be enough until we get connectivity and transport right. A lot of the work that I've been trying to do, trying to bring employers together, doing a High Peak Jobs and Apprenticeships Fair and a High Peak Apprenticeship Exchange, which I've been setting up, a huge issue that comes back from so many employers is that they can't get recruitment simply because people can't get to those locations. They can't get to college, they can't get to where they want to work on time for 9 AM. So all the money and effort going into apprenticeships, skills, won't be enough unless we make the connectivity work too. And that's particularly important for addressing regional inequalities. Quite a few members have mentioned Crossrail and the Elizabeth Line opening, which is fantastic. It's a brilliant scheme, but we really need to see that in other parts of the country. The shadow minister who represents a London-based constituency, who's not in his place, referred slightly with distaste on his lips to having once ridden a bus in Manchester. For those members who don't have the pleasure of representing somewhere in the North and Midlands, the level and the disparity between transport is absolutely enormous, and this is key to fixing the productivity gap. So many people are arriving late to work, they're arriving stressed and exhausted to work, or having to leave early just because getting to work is so difficult because the transport links are so poor, and fixing that is absolutely essential. So how do we do that? It is that focus on infrastructure, improving our transport. I think the government have done a lot of really good things. Our bit of the Northern Powerhouse Rail project, the upgrade of the Manchester to Sheffield route, the Hope Valley line, construction is already underway, and that will make a huge difference to the passengers in places like New Mills, Chinley, Edale, Hope and Bamford. But we also need to connect that up with the bus services and active travel, which is why I'm so pleased that we've just this month approved the Travelling Light £120,000 funding project for the Hope Valley Climate Action, which I've been supporting. So that's going to really help join things up too. At the same time, we need to get it right when it comes to road. buses go on the road network. If we're moving towards electric vehicles and low emission vehicles, we have to get our road network right. The Mottram bypass, which has been promised for over 50 years. We've got the money committed, we have a contract signed, we need to get on and build it, and then build the second phase of that bypass around Tintwistle too. So hopefully we can get that. I'm very optimistic. And it's all very well and good talking about improving rail, but there are whole swathes of rural areas which have no access to rail whatsoever. Two examples I want to flag very quickly. Chinley, where there is no step-free access, we have an access for all bid that's just gone in, and I'd love to see transport ministers come to the village and see just how important that is, because there is currently no step-free access in either direction. And also, I regularly get accused of being like Cato the Elder, of mentioning this in almost every speech I make, the desperate need to build Gamesley Station. This is one of the most deprived areas anywhere in the country. It has very low car ownership. It was promised a station back in 1968 when it was built. They never put it in, and it is badly needed to regenerate one of the most deprived areas. It would completely transform life chances for the residents there. So there's lots of really positive things that the government is doing, but there needs to be a much greater focus on delivering transport infrastructure, improving rail services, and integrating it all together so that the smaller villages and areas which don't have their own stations can also access it. Thank you very much.